Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today, very interesting day. It is the second day of 2022, and I figure what better way to start off the new year than with the difference of opinion. That is correct. We're here, as you can see, we have the tier maker set up. And I thought to myself, I thought for a while, I really did. Do I do this now, or do I do it when Sunbreak comes out? And then I was like, well, let's try it now, and then see if my opinion changes later. Now, we all know that Rise is a very controversial game. I myself don't like it that much, but I don't think it's a bad game. There's just things about it that I feel just not me, but we're not gonna, that's not what that's here, not today. Not today. What we're gonna do is we're just going to tier the monsters. Now, this particular tier list isn't gonna be anything ridiculous. It ain't gonna be anything grandiose. For the most part, I can't remember what most of these monsters do. I haven't played this game in God knows how long. So I'm going to go off of, like, let's just say a first impressions kind of thing. Almost none of these monsters I fought extensively because there was truly no reason to. So I'm just going to go off of the monsters that at the time in which I did fight them, I thought was like super freaking cool. So we have standard list here. We have S, A, B, C, D, and F. It's weird how it just went from D to F, but I guess to insinuate the fact that F is for womp womp womp. So with that said, we will start at the top. Let's pick an S tier monster, in my opinion. Feel free to be opposed with my opinion, because that's what today is. That's what all this is about, opposed opinions. So my first S tier monster is Baz. That's right. It has nothing to do with the fact that his armor is actually godlike for the things that I use, lances and gun lances and such. It's basically everything to do with the fact that this monster himself is pretty gosh darn good. Most monsters in his particular category, the flying weapon category, are woefully, terribly boring beasts. But the Bazoogoose himself is actually quite nice. Great design, great fights, great gear, great everything. My man, he's just like an amazing monster. Why he's not a flagship, I don't know. Didn't really have to be, but it's cool to see that they actually finally came up with a flying weapon that isn't very boring. Let's go for something at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Yes, a monster that is bad. B-A-D or B-A-F. I don't know. We're talking about the Kezu. Why it still exists, I do not know. They genuinely made a better monster in Giganox, but yet we have Kezu, and we've seen Kezu ever since we stopped seeing Giganox. I mean, we've only seen Giganox in one generation, the third generation, the best generation. That's a video for another day. But the fact that Kezu is still following us around, doing all the weird things he does, is, in my opinion, more annoying than anything else. Just get rid of the thing. I mean, yeah, he's great for electric weapons. He's a early means to get electric weapons. He even has paralysis in there for some of his weapons. So that, I mean, that's kind of cool. His armor is also kind of cool, but the monster fight himself, actually not even the fight, the monster himself is gross. I don't like him. Everyone knows why they don't like him. He's really weird. I mean, he's a veteran monster, I get it, but I still really have a tough time looking at this thing. I genuinely do not prefer this monster to basically any monster in this tier list. He's one of my least favorite monsters, like flat out. I just don't like him. Now let's go to something a bit interesting. Let's go for a new monster, an actual new monster this time. Let's look at a new monster. Let's go with the big man himself, Gos Harag. I think I forgot how to pronounce his name. I think it's Gos Harag. It's been a while. Again, like I said, I haven't played this game in forever. Didn't have the means to, didn't feel the need to. But that monster right there is amazing. That is an amazing monster. I love that monster's design. I don't even know what type of monster it is. Is it a fang beast? I think so. Super cool. I feel like he's like a guy in a suit. You know, like those old kaiju movies, like a giant guy. Well, not a guy in like a giant rubber suit walking around. That's what he feels like to me. And I really like his design simply because he himself can augment his own abilities. Like, he has the standard suite of abilities that he would have normally, whatever, and then he'll say, you know what, let's turn up. Chop it up double icy, or with the club hand, and then the chop it up. You know, he's just really cool. Shoots a beam, has mix-ups. You'll look at him, and then he'll jump 180 behind you, land. The landing is a huge tremor, and then he'll shoot an iceberg. His fight is amazing. Really good, solid fight. I want to see him come back with like a subspecies of some sort, for sure. Now that I think I got all my weight, I have one more long-winded monster. I won't put him in the S tier because I'll hear you guys cry. Almondjoy. Almondron, I think. Incredibly cool monster, guys. Incredibly cool monster. His whole thing is that he's a giant Leviathan who slithers in the mud and slings mud all over the place. Very akin to that of Bareth, if you guys remember the Bareth, but he's not a Leviathan. And I think the coolest thing, the coolest thing about this guy is his ability to create those giant mud pillars. And you can either jump from pillar to pillar, jump over, climb over the pillar, whatever, and like do some damage because he himself is normally hiding within the maze of pillars. It's really cool. I just think that any kind of monster that has the means to change the form, the terrain, is really amazing. Velkhana in Iceborne was one of those monsters for me. Any type of geomancy ability that a monster can actually produce, I believe, is some of the coolest stuff you can do in a Monster Hunter game. And the fact that he can do it in the way he does and at such a grandiose scale is pretty interesting. His gear isn't the greatest. It looks amazing though, so gotta give it to him. His fight can be a bit so we can't put him in S. But other than that, yeah, Almondron. Alright, is this my man Tobi Kadachi? Yes sir, we gotta put Tobi Kadachi in the A tier. Why we gotta put Tobi Kadachi in the A tier? Tobi Kadachi was a tier 2 monster. By that I mean he was a step higher from that of things like Great Joggerus and Great Jag and things like that. Monsters that were pretty easy, but just before they start to get a little difficult, you know what I mean? And he was just kind of But in this game, they gave him a whole lot of buffs. They gave him a buff to like basically everything. Attack speed, new attacks altogether, just mechanic changes, the whole nine. The change from World to Rise did this man wonders. He did very well for himself. And that's actually super cool. Now, let's actually go to another monster that actually was from World. The Anjanath. Andrew, he didn't do anything. Actually, in this game, I think he actually went down a peg. He used to be the gatekeeper in World, allowing you, or rather not allowing you, to actually progress to the monster I talked about before, that actually, before they're like kind of okay to like pretty good, the flagship status type monsters like Rathalos and such. He was the one who parked his fat tail right in front of all that and said, you cannot get into this club until you beat me. And he himself was pretty difficult. This time around, not so much the case. Actually, nothing really. The mechanic changes in this case actually did worse for him. So he's not a bad fight or a bad monster. It's just that everything that he had kind of went down a bit. And it's not necessarily his fault. He was a great fight. He still is a pretty decent fight, but just not that great. Speaking of not that great and also pretty decent, we're looking at Bishaten. I'm lying. He's pretty freaking good. His design is amazing. Absolutely amazing. The only thing that's carrying him to A is probably his design, because the things he can do, like the spinning and the fruits that he'll throw out and everything, and what each fruit does, like how he'll hide one and then it's like it's a flash fruit and then like you're blinded or whatever. That is amazing. Anytime you can have more than your standard I'm gonna throw my face at you fighting style, it piques my interest. It makes me look at it like, you know, they really tried with this one, Capcom did, and I greatly appreciate the effort that went into this one monster right here. There's lots of effort on display with this one monster. I can fight this monster almost forever, and I kind of want to. I want to see this monster in multiple different forms. This was an amazing monster to fight. His gear was whatever, but this fight was actually really nice. Now let's go through a couple of speedy ones that are just kind of like whatever. Inakasam did his job. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there. C, he did his job. It's not a great monster. It's Not a bad monster. He just kind of did his job. He was very, very, very early elemental weapon. His fight was pretty interesting. Wasn't anything too groundbreaking. You just pretty good. Early monster. Can't get mad at early monster, you know what I mean? He just kind of did what needed to be done. Not a whole lot more than that. And that's totally fine. I honestly cannot get too mad at him. Speaking of early on, can't get the job done. Actually, no, I have to do it. Look, guys, there are a lot of greats out there. A lot of greats. But Great Azuchi might be the greatest great of all time. I said before the greatest great was probably Great Gyros because he was another pack monster. All these greats are usually pack monsters. But he was a pack monster that said, okay, I'm going to have my little minions literally work with me. We're going to work together using teamwork to achieve our goal, whatever it may be. And I knew Great Azuchi was going to be the greatest great from the very first time I saw it in the trailer. I was like, he is actually working in unison with his little Azuchis to attack the hunter. Like, he'll say, all right, guys, I'm going to spin first, and you guys, one of you spin to the left, the other guy spin to the right, I'm coming through the middle. And then they come spinning with the tails and smacking. I'm like, these guys are actually working together as a unit. I knew instantly that would be amazing. And he was. These are pretty gosh darn great freaking fight. If anything, he'll be like a low B tier, but I have to give credit where credit is due. They really stuck with the whole great pack mentality and actually made sure these guys aren't just running around being ridiculous. I think the worst offender, this is probably Great Baggy. Regular Baggies, they just do whatever. Great Baggy also just does whatever. He kills his own Baggy. He puts him to sleep. They sleep things indiscriminately. There's no communication. Those guys are just weird. Let's get another lower tier monster. Where is he? I saw you. There you are. I do not like the Kuliaku. I used to like the Kuliaku, but now he just gets on my nerves. He's just there. Like, I kind of feel like Kuliaku wasn't even supposed to be a monster you're supposed to fight. I feel like Kuliaku was supposed to be like an endemic life kind of thing. What are you doing? Collecting eggs. What else? Dude, nothing. Let me do me. Let me collect eggs. Can you leave me alone, please? That's what I feel like he was supposed to do. Little thief in the night, come and take an egg and peace out. Tiny little raptor thing. But no, they have to make him a monster. And I kind of feel like it's like, we had to put you there because you were in world. I don't see Kuliaku making too many more returns, personally. I personally think that he should, but he may. I mean, we have freaking Kazu down here, who serves literally no purpose. Well, at least he serves a bit of a purpose. That is early electric weapons. Whereas Kuliaku, weapons have no element. Whose weapons also don't have any element? Freaking Azuchi. I don't know. Replace Kuliaku with Great Azuchi. I think it'll work out. Not a bad monster, not his fault. I feel like he's just in the wrong video game. Or doing the wrong thing in his video game. But that's neither here nor there. What is here is my man Royal Ludroth, which simply because he isn't this Grandmaster of Grandmaster status, I cannot put him in S tier. But he belongs nowhere lower than A tier, in my opinion. This is one of my favorite monsters of all time. I love this monster to death. There's a lot of things I could talk about this monster with, but I don't want this video to be a billion years long. It's already 14 minutes long as we stand right now. This is going to be a long video. I'm not even going to sit in front of you guys. It's going to be a long video. But we have a bunch of other monsters to get through as well, so I don't want to sit and harp on the one monster forever. Just note that as far as Leviathans go, he did quite a bit. He did quite a bit for his family, his clan, if you want to call it that. And he's done quite well by transitioning himself from the other games into the 5th generation as well. The first time him being so beautiful as far as what's it called, the design, like how the art benefited him before, where in which, you know, the game itself wasn't truly and earnestly HD. It was more so I look HD, but I'm just upscaled like 480p graphic type of stuff. They finally did him real good in that regard. So his fight isn't nothing crazy. It's just it does all that it needs to do. He's a tier 2 monster, so it's not like he's supposed to be a very difficult fight. He does have his little minions running around doing stuff to you. He doesn't really command them in the same sense, but they are kind of there. So you do have to kind of play around with more than just the one monster in front of you. He does have a pretty interesting rage mechanic, and he's also the coolest monster to get stunned. because if you stun him, he doesn't move. So if you're ever fighting one and you really want him to not move anywhere, hit him with a flash bomb or whatever, he refuses to move. He'll just stand there and look menacingly at you. But it's cool. I like Leviathans. He's one of the better ones. Gotta give it to him. Got to give it to him. Oh, crap. Okay, so let's actually speed it up here. Let's go with Lagami. Lagami is another one of those monsters who are just there. Like, I can't think of one thing Lagami does in this game that he hadn't done in other games. It's a Lagami. I'm sorry to say, but it's just a Lagami. Moving on, we have the Tetradon. Tetradon, put him in B tier because Tetradon was the gatekeeper in this game. Actually, because he has to sit in front of Mr. Andrew there. Tetradon was like a monster that when people first fought him in the very beginning, I guess like lower rank or whatever, they were like, yo, what the heck? This monster has everything. Has so much stuff. So much stuff. I was gobsmacked at the amount of things this monster had. The abilities, the mechanics, the fight itself was just on another level. It was some next level type stuff. It made me feel like I was playing a fighting game. Yes, I felt like I was playing a fighting game. This was like a really cheap grappler type character, almost like an E Honda kind of thing. Not because it's mostly a sumo thing and E Honda's a sumo thing and that's a Capcom game. It's also a Capcom game, but he did actually it might literally be some of that because yeah, it's some of that. He's like a sumo wrestler kind of guy. He has a ton of stuff. He made a lot of people pause when going through the lower tiers because he himself was a pretty big roadblock at first. Now granted, now he's not so much, but in the beginning he had a huge wow factor of making it to where you yourself as the hunter was having your first true difficulty in progressing. You couldn't just like throw your face on the floor and just like plow straight through the rest of the entire game, well through the game up until this point, because he himself was just like, I'm not as silly as all the other ones, I will fight you. So big respect for that. Somnicath, I'll put it B because this monster right here has a ton of things going for it, like the sleep, the blast, the flash. It's a status monster. Pardon the pun. But yes, it had quite a few things in that regard, and it swam around. At first, when I saw it in the trailer, I thought we were gonna fight this thing in the water, take a dippity dip, you know what I mean? Wasn't the case, but the thing is, it was still a very interesting monster to fight. Kind of slippery, you know what I mean? It moved a whole lot and has a lot of really interesting moves. When it's not using its status abilities to debilitate you as the hunter and forcing you into really tough situations, it's just kind of hard to hit. Its whole body typing is all, again, slithery, and it slides around a lot. So if you're not very quick on the draw, you have yourself a hard time trying to get onto it. So I do like how it moves quite a bit. Its design is that of the traditional mermaids, where the mermaids themselves, or banshees I believe, or mermaids, one of the two. I think they were kind of mixing both, where the mermaids would try to like lure the sailors over, like, hey, come on over here, you know, we're singing this nice pretty song, and then you look at them, they're like incredibly hideous and they pull you under the undertow. So yeah, very cool design, very cool fight. Heck yeah. Now we're getting to Puke, yeah, let's go and get him out of here. Another, he was there doing his job, nothing wrong with it, based on, like, just nothing's wrong with Puke. If anything, I'm glad Puke is here again, simply because he is our low-level poison monster, and poison is a great status. Puke is a pretty decent monster. He just gets the job done. Can't complain. He's not like in World where poison was this very, honestly, relatively foreign thing, where if you really wanted poison weapons, you had to dig deep for that particular point that you would really need. Or in this game, they kind of spread out a little bit more. I'm clearly talking about Chameleos, but yeah, we'll get to him when we get to him. So he serves his purpose. Another purpose-served monster. Speaking of early poison, Roggy. Hey, we talked about Baggy too. Let's put them both in here. These are two monsters again who serve their purpose for what they do. Now they're both pack monsters. They're both great monsters. They're both coming from the 3rd generation, but they will always be lesser than that of the Great Azuchi because they don't have the same team building mechanics as great as Uchi actually has with his comrades and whatnot. Great Rocky poisons, Great Baggy spits that sleepy stuff. Now, Great Baggy has actually been downgraded from his last incarnation. He was at the higher end of tier 2. Now they nerfed him hard. There was a lot of things he would do in terms of certain attacks that he would have, where in which he would come out of a certain attack or go into a particular extra attack at a sooner or a slower rate. They just adjusted to the point where he's dumber. Like, if it took him 4 seconds to react to a thing, it now takes him 7 seconds to react to a thing. You know, things like that. It's not that big of a gap, but for someone like me from fighting Baggy for a really long time, highly noticeable. It is what it is, though. He, again, serves its purpose. You get a lot of status early on in this game in Rise, and these are some of the guys that are actually noted for that. Literally, this exact whole tier right here, minus Lagami, because Lagami is just a monster that's there. Now, let's talk about... Let's see, who we gonna talk about next? I don't want to get to the big boys just yet. We got plenty of time for the big boys. Volvadon. Gosh, what do I do with Volvadon, dude? Another C? He just doesn't do anything. Yeah, it's just Volvadon. I don't even think they changed him at all. Sorry, dude. He sticks his he sticks his tongue out, much like how I just stuck my tongue out, and he just throws paralysis everywhere. Make the gear, I guess, if you really want some paralysis stuff, because paralysis, as Monster Hunter tradition, is always really slim pickings. You can never really find the stuff. So there's that. What are we gonna look at now? Oh, they got the Apex monsters in here too. I just noticed that. Interesting. So let's go with Bazaros. Let's go with Basarios, Bazarzos, or whatever you want to call them. Shout outs to Baz. This other Baz. He is an interesting fight. This was always a monster that people just like, dude, he just kind of sits there and you can just kind of wail on him. You know, he was a very boring, very cut and dry kind of monster to fight against. But in this game, they gave him a lot of stuff. They gave him some mobility. And honestly, I was taken aback. I was like, I didn't think he was going to be this mobile, this agile. And it makes me wonder, what are they going to do when they bring Gravios back? If they bring Gravios back. That is a really cool monster, but Gravios routinely is slower than that of Basarios, but we can totally see him actually making a jump in terms of mobility, because just because you're big doesn't mean you're slow. Tetradon kind of really bullet home that point to me, also Gossarog. So his abilities are varied as well. He's another status monster, has quite a few statuses, and he can shoot fire, and he has a huge beam. Like, he has a bunch of stuff going for him, and I love it. He has poison, he has sleep, he has fire. He has the incredible defense of his body armor. So if you hit certain parts of his body, you'll do nothing. You have to hit the squishy bits. So you have to actually get up underneath the guy and really do the damage that you actually want to do. Really interesting fight. Great armor. I mean, armor design has always been the exact same, but the armor, as far as its use, has changed over the years, and it's pretty good. I genuinely enjoy this fight and its armor and so on. Alrighty, I think now we're getting to the point where we have to start talking about some of the bigger guys. So let's do that. First, before we go any further, I'm not gonna talk about the Apex monsters. I don't think I've fought any of them. The best I could I have. The best you can just say about Apex monster is if you fought the original one and you fought the Apex, it's just the original, but then more so. So let's actually go look at another new monster, Arachna something or whatever. I don't know its name, but this Arachna Kadachi might be S tier, dude. I don't know what it is with Capcom, but whenever they make a spidery type monster, they really be making a spidery type monster. They go in. They really do. They do that. They definitely do. This monster design is incredible. It has minions and it fights with them accordingly. Super good. So you already know that that's a huge thing for me. It's a huge thing for me. It really is. So not only is it an amazing fight, it's fire. It has the web status, so it can actually web you up, make you immobile, and then jump on you, doing all kinds of wild things to your body and so on. but it actually has small little minions that also shoot fire, that also can web you up and everything, that actually work in tandem with some of its bigger moves. Like literally some of the little minions come out of its giant orb weaved web thing on its abdomen, and then like, oh, it's just amazing. Like there isn't anything about this monster I don't like, except its armor. Its armor, which is more of a Rise issue, is geared explicitly towards this one type of player. If you are, I think, a bow user, it's only for bows, not even guns, just bows. But it is what it is. Then again, nevertheless, great design, great fight, great utility, just fantastic. But we've been talking about a lot of good stuff. Let's talk about a bad monster. Let's talk about the monster who took the fattest L in his entire career. Tigrex took the biggest L in his entire career in this game. This is the weakest I've ever seen a Tigrex before. Absolutely. They took the one thing that he had. Two things. He had two things. He had the ability to rush you relentlessly, and his roar, and they nerfed all of that. They nerfed like all of that. I'm not gonna go into it. I made a huge video about it, but like, just know that the Tigrex you're fighting here is the easiest, most neuter Tigrex there's ever been, like ever. All the Tiger stuff is still there, but just knocked down like 2 notches. So he's still fast, I mean, but he's not like as relentless. He used to just like give you no room for breathing, none whatsoever, absolutely none. And then when there would be room for breathing, it wasn't your breathing, it was his breathing, because he was going to breathe in and then roar. But the distance on that hitbox is like right here. You have to be right here to get hit with that roar. It's useless. Speaking of useless, Rathalos. I'm kidding, or am I? I'm kidding. He's actually really good this time around. Gave you guys some looks. He's actually really good. I thoroughly enjoy Rathalos this time. And all it really took was some new moves. Because the first thing I said was Flying Wyvern was boring and dry. And Baz was like, I am not boring and dry. I am sauce. Rathalos was like, I'm tired of being boring and dry, so let me put some sauce on top of it. They gave him a couple of new moves and changed a couple of things about his behaviors, and it's pretty good. The little flame thing, that's awesome. That's pretty good. That by itself put him in this B tier. But where's his wife? His wife, is this the Apex one? Yeah, here's regular. Regular Raytheon is just another, whatever. I don't think it's that great. But this is one of the few times where I will do this. I think the Apex is phenomenal. And it's mostly because, do you guys remember Gold Raytheon in Iceborne World, whatever? That Raytheon was mind-blowing. So good. Such a very good monster. It was way better than Silver Rathalos. Way better than Silver Rathalos. Apex Raytheon is basically that. And also a bit of Dread Queen. For whatever reason, the base Raytheon is always just bad. It's just a monster, you know what I mean? But any variation of Raytheon is always way better than any variation they give to Rathalos. I think it's because Rathalos is already kind of like here. So when they do a variation to it, they can only go up a little bit more. And then Raytheon always starts way down here. And then when they do a variation to it, they always bring it equal to that of whatever Rathalos is at, if not more in some cases. So Apex has a suite of attacks and abilities and moves and things that are just daunting, honestly. Quite ridiculous. Alright, who do we have? Let's actually get to, oh no, Juratotos. They gave my man a huge, chill out. They gave my man a huge boost. Juratotos used to be a very bad monster. Very, very bad monster. He's very good in this game. Another monster, much like Tobikadaji, who got a huge boost from the change from World to Rise. Everything just got a buff. They just buffed him in all regards. So I gotta give him credit where credit is due. Amazing fight. Wasn't ever an amazing monster. Still really isn't as far as monsters go. But to his credit, he definitely works what he has. Can't be mad at him. Alrighty. Diablos. Diablos is C tier. Diablos has not changed. like ever. And I get it. He's basically a flying wyvern that's a brute wyvern. But they have to do more to Diablos. You know what I mean? Give him more. I mean, I know there's Apex Diablos, who is obviously godlike. I'm literally just going to put him in S tier. But base Diablos should get more. Base Diablos doesn't really have much. And I fought base Diablos a lot. Base Diablos' armor in this game is the lancing armor to have in this game. So I have fought him quite a few times. And the more I fight, I'm just like, dang, dude, you're just Diablos. You've like never changed. And it's not like change is a bad thing. Like you need to change all the time. But dude, you have to do something. Rathalos changed a little bit. You have to change, my guy. You really have to change. You're a good monster. You've always been one of my favorite monsters of all time. But like come on, my guy. Come on. Or give us mana blows or something, you know, bring those guys back or whatever. All right, let's go with, dude, who is this? Oh, this bear. When I say nerfed, I actually think Leviathans. Leviathans went down an entire tier. This used to be a tier 3 monster. This monster is a tier 2 monster. The lowest I've ever seen a monster drop from a tier was Kieran. Kieran was a tier 4 Elder Dragon and became a tier 2 monster. Tragic. Absolutely just wow, blew my mind. Nevertheless, Leviathans, yeah. Nargacuga once dropped from tier 3 to tier 2 and made its way back to tier 3. Leviathans finally made its way to tier 2. This monster is bad. This monster is bad. This monster is really bad. Like, he's bad. Lagombi is actually better than him, I believe, as far as like other stuff goes. But they just did him. They did him raw. They did him raw. It's not like he's a cool monster. He is. He's a super cool monster. He's a saber-toothed tiger cat that shoots wind and ice balls and stuff at you and whatnot. So I mean, he's cool. He still has a lot of cool stuff, but he's just woefully nerfed. They reduced a lot of the things that made him really great. So slow now. Yeah, they just nerfed this guy. Again, another one of those clean sweeps. Everything just bad. Just make everything bad than what it used to be. Bareth serves his purpose. I'm not gonna like parade him around like I used to all the time. He's a brute wyvern. He's the first brute wyvern. He serves his purpose. He charges. These two monsters are the exact same monster. Diablos and Bareth, yes, these are the exact same monster. These are the exact same monster. These are the exact same monster. I have nothing else to say. And you cannot tell me these aren't the exact same monster. They are. They are. They charge along, head on the ground, run into you as the hunter. They both go under the sand or the mud. They come up from the sand or the mud. They spin a little bit. Then they charge you again. They're the same monster. Okay, speaking of monsters aren't the same, and monsters actually did pretty good, we're looking at Nargacuga. I got nothing to say. It's Nargacuga. He kind of gets the job done now. He used to be bad, now he's better. Like, it's Narg. Yep, Nari. Let's actually talk about somebody who's actually really good. Let's do a really good. Oh, let's do another bad one. Let's do another bad one. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I will put him at the top of D tier. This is the worst Rajang has ever been as well. They've nerfed a lot of. See, guys, D tier. I'm putting monsters in D tier that are bad monsters, and there are monsters that just aren't that good in this game. The controversy is all over the place. I can taste it, but I never really liked Rajang that much. But this Rajang was the least I've liked them. Not because of the fights, like him being overbearing, but him being not what we all know him to be. Do you all remember Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, The Return of Rajang? That was probably peak Rajang. That Rajang and this Rajang, don't say it's a high rank game. No, we're not talking about that. Like, whether a monster is good or bad doesn't dictate, well, isn't necessarily because it's a high or G rank monster. It's in the foundations, the fundamentals of the monster. A monster can fundamentally be good or bad. A lot of these monsters are better as high rank monsters than they ever were as G rank monsters. Literally. Freaking Tobi Kadachi. Okay? Dang. So I don't want to hear that. Rajang is the biggest pushover he's ever been ever. And everyone that I've ever met, that I've ever talked to who really likes this guy, has said the same thing to me. So I will say this. This is one of those instances where it's not coming from a position of me knowing everything in the world. Because I don't really fight this monster that often. Only fight when other people want to fight him and I just happen to be there. But a lot of people tell me this is the absolute worst he's ever been. I mean, by a grand margin. And even I myself not really found too much issue with fighting him. He does have the gripper, but it's not like it used to be. And you can just waltz right out the thing. And also with the wirefall, you can get out of a lot of things that he can put you in, which are usually bad situations. You can walk right out of those. So I guess we'll put him in like C tier. He's still a Rajang. He'll still clap you, but this is the worst Rajang that's ever been. Easy. See this, guys, this is another instance. Arzuros, another instance where a monster was absolute just trash, but gets goated in this inception of the game. This is a much better monster than what he used to be. He's actually pretty solid now. I cannot even get mad at him. They just did him a lot of good in this game. This is Apex form. Yeah, let's put his Apex form right next to him. Let's just do it. Because you know, Apex is just the same thing but better. He's really good. He's definitely smarter than your average bear now, for sure. All right. Now we're getting down to the last few monsters here. Who do we have? Who are you? Is Apex Rathalos? Where's Rathalos at? Yeah, whatever. You can get in there too. B tier, I guess. Magnamalo. That is an A monster. That is a fighting game player. That is a really, really good monster design. I've always disliked a lot of, like, I've been harsh. That's the word. I've been very harsh to the flagship monsters of the more recent generations. Very, very, very harsh. And this is one of the few ones where I fully respect. I like this monster. He has so many things going for him as far as mechanic changes and things like that. But I will give it up. He definitely has the air of I'm a full-on flagship monster who easily could have just been an Elder Dragon. But he's not. So the things that this monster can do is tremendous. He has so many different things. He's basically an anime, I almost said an anime Guilty Gear character. I mean, he is. He's basically a Guilty Gear character in this game. He has so many unique things that only he himself can do that you would also see in that of other fighting games like Guilty Gear. But I won't get into that for the time being because that's a wholly different video. But just know that, like, I'm sure you guys already know. I'm sure you know. Fighting this monster is no walk in the park, no matter how you slice it. And it's still a park I want to walk through a lot. Like, I really like fighting this thing. Okay, so let's actually get to the Elder Dragons now. Oh wait, we have Zinogre. Whatever. Where's the other one too? Where's the other one? Is this it? No. Where is he? There he is. Okay. Zinogre, whatever. Blah blah. Fight me. All right. Anyway, now we have Mizutsune. I'm gonna give Mizutsune in there. Let's just go ahead and throw his Apex in the C tier though. That is a bad Apex. It's not a good Apex. I'm sorry, it's not. It's not. It's the one that shoots the fire, but not as good as how it used to. You know what I mean? Like, we all knew the Apex monsters were just the deviants. This is the worst of those, in my opinion, as far as transitions go. Mizutsune got the electric slide, the boogaloo hoogalo. You know what I mean? Where he bam, and then just slides and shoots the beam at you. That's godlike. I like that. The electric boogaloo. I love it. All right, Chameleos, one of the greatest Elder Dragons to ever exist, ever. Easily one of the greatest Elder Dragons to ever exist, ever. Simply because my man goes and now you see me, now I don't. Well, now you don't. I've made that joke every single time I've ever made a Chameleos video ever. And I didn't notice it until last last video. But it's an elder dragon that can go invisible and can poison you. He can poison you, he can poison the air. Hello? What more can I, like, seriously? And as far as like monsters being based on real world animals and such go for, the wood gecko that is the Chameleos, among other things, is pretty freaking sweet. I love him. Like, he still has the extra jerky motions that like those lizards even have. That's actually pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie to you, Ibushi, Narwa, Allmother, I don't ever want to see those characters ever again, ever. Not a single day in my life. I hate that fight. I hate those monsters. Those monsters are ass. I think all three of those monsters are ass. All three. Allmother might be a little less ass, but those monsters are ass, dude. I just do not like those things. They are bad, dude. They are bad. They serve one purpose in Rise. We all know what that purpose is. We all do. We all know that all they do is sit there and give us the lottery. The lottery. That's all they're for. That's it. You know, I know, we all know. These monsters could have very well not have existed. Upside down dragon and everything, as cool design as that actually may be, but these monsters are ass. The fight is ass. The fight is cool, but it's still ass. It's weird. It's like you did something so unique to change up the formula so much, but it's still ass. I mean, it's changed it to the point where I don't even feel like a monster in a game anymore. I don't feel like I'm in actual any danger. Well, I do, but I don't. It's just odd. It's very, very, very odd. I don't like it at all. I genuinely don't like these fights or anything. I don't like these guys at all. The less I fight them, the better I feel about myself. And then we have American Airlines. We'll put him in there. That's American Airlines. What, are you kidding me? Yeah, that man is godlike. Actually, let's not lie to ourselves. We're gonna put the last monster in here too. Okay, American Airlines, Teostra, and Kush. Kush, y'all hate Kush. I love Kush. Big wind dragon, make all the wind, make it tough for you to actually move around. That's godlike. The harder it is for you to move, and you have to actually be on your toes more often than not. I'm a fan of that. Making you actually think, use your brainstem, use like situational awareness. That's godlike. Teostra gets absolutely just destroyed by the lands, and I'm a land user, so he's still a good fight. He puts up a really good fight, but he ain't got nothing on this lands. And you cannot fight me in the comment section on this one. He has the best intros. He does. No one's more regal, more badass than he is. He has the most regal, most badass cutscenes like ever. Like, I can think of all of them. They're all godlike. And he's part of the trio. The trio dragons, they're all godlike. I cannot sit here and pretend. They're just amazing. When I literally think elder dragons, I think them. They're almost akin to, in my opinion, like, you know, in Pokemon, where you have the box art legendaries, and then you have like the trio of Pokemon afterwards. So for example, if you guys are old, you have Mewtwo as the legendary, and then you have Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno. Or you can go back further, or go forward a little bit. Let's say you have Lugia, who's actually a box art legendary. You have Ho-Oh, who is a box art legendary. Then you have the three dogs, you know, Suicune, Entei, and Raikou. These are like those guys. You have the box art legendaries, who are, you know, whoever they want to be. Then you have the trio Pokemon afterwards, where these guys, who are usually the trio, are usually always pretty good. I'm so sorry about Articuno though. But anyway, guys, this is the tier list. Okay. Oh, American Airlines. What? Jet Dragon? Do I have to explain Jet Dragon? I'm not gonna explain Jet Dragon. You all know why he's a god. But yeah, this is it. This is my tier list for Rise as it stands right now. This is my personal opinion about basically all these monsters except Rajang, like I said before, because like I have no opinion on Rajang. So let me guys know what you think about this list. If you don't like this list, let me know. If you like it, also let me know. Let's get a conversation going. It is the year of 2022. We started the year with a difference of opinion, but let's see if these opinions change as I go back through Rise again when Sunbreak comes out.